20 billion, Kyle, with a B. That's how many hot dogs are consumed annually in the United States. DarbyCast, Wildcard Friday, Kyle and I, we were just talking about hot dogs, quite obviously. 20 billion is a big number, especially as it relates to hot dogs. In a country of 330 million people, that means that on average, each person is eating 60 hot dogs a year. That's basically a hot dog every 6 days. There are 52 weeks in a calendar year, Kyle, as we know. So that means that people are eating more than one hot dog a week. I find that courageous. However, 5% of the United States population is vegetarian. 2% are vegan. So scratch 23 million off of our 330 million population. And then the one hot dog every 6 days style number changes. It morphs, Kyle. And we would have to think that there's some hot dog power users out there. Guys, ladies who just suck them down. That's a disgusting image, but you get the point that I'm trying to make. Americans are leaders. No other country's even coming close to this hot dog consumption. But this is the DarbyCast. Boy, is it, Kyle. And so we need to consider, as a community, stepping outside the bun. And I think those numbers are totally cooked, by the way. There's no way people are eating 70, 80 hot dogs a year. But they could be. Imagine if Big Hot Dog wasn't just carpet bombing propaganda out there and saying, yeah, 20 billion hot dogs a year, that's what we're pushing. Not even close. I'm not buying that for a second. But it's time to put honesty back into hot dogs, Kyle. It totally is. And I know how to do it. And it's not through hot dog flavors, although it could be. But you, the DarbyCast doctor listening to this, you know as well as anybody, hot dog innovation has been stagnant for years. If you're new to this podcast, you might want to just go ahead and scram, because this level of inspiration, creativity, business acumen, it's a lot to digest for cowards. Leaders can track with this. So if you're a leader or an aspiring leader and you say, I'm open to exploring the possibilities that exist, untapped potential, massive gas shale deposits of ideas in the hot dog space, if you're open to fracking our way to hot dog success, hotdogsuccess.org, Kyle, buy it. We make that kind of a community building organization for people who are willing to fight in a space that has just been dominated by bigwigs and fat cats for years. It's time for some mom and pop hot dog shops to totally disrupt the space. That's what's been on the tip of everybody's tongue for the better part of a decade. Everybody's looking to Silicon Valley and saying, what's the next app? Everybody's been looking to New York and saying, hey, could you jack up our economy some more with some weird math? Make some more derivative style crap? Is that what we need right now? Bet most of the people listening to this just audibly shouted like, hell no. And if that's you, bless your heart. Bless your hot dog. So let's talk about some major problems happening in the world of food right now. First off, Subway. Disgusting. Item number 2, hot dog tech has been so stagnant. And some of you right now are scratching your head saying, what's the meaning of that? What do you mean by hot dog tech? And I'm telling you, it's hot dog related accessories. Kyle, we've had a head full of steam. Well, I have, you have not, because you don't wake up early enough. But I've been doing TikTok lives, and the other day we were discussing hot dog related accessories that would totally transform the industry. Let's start small, give people a little bit of a hot dog tech appetizer. The portable hot dog slingshot. A little bit obvious, but where are they? right? If it's so obvious, where are the slingshots? Picture this, Kyle. Somebody's hiking in the woods and they are all out of trail mix. You strategically hiding in a camouflage hunter's blind, take aim and you shoot a hot dog right into somebody's mouth. That hiker, who by any standard would be considered a stranger, just became a friend. And a friend with a full belly, full of hot dog. I think that 20 billion number was BS, Kyle, but it could be a reality if we have the correct supporting accessories and technology. What would a hot dog slingshot look like, Kyle? It would have a bit of a hot dog hammock where you would normally insert rocks or BBs. The ergonomics would be supreme. And then you just reach into your hot dog satchel, pull out a Loosie, and fire away. That's another business idea, right? And if you're listening to this right now, these are all comped. Take it and run with it. I'm not a big execution guy on the business front, but I am a huge idea guy, as you know. So far, we have hot dog slingshots and hot dog satchels. How else are you going to carry your Loosies around, right, Kyle? I'll tell you how. Insulated, warming pockets that fit in any pocket that you already have. So it's a pocket within a pocket. That way you can be a little bit more discreet when you're transporting Loosies. Big hot dogs totally cooking the books on their sales numbers. But this would create a hot dog revival in this country, Kyle. Mark my words. Everybody would be having hot dog conversations. This would totally revive the entire economy. Tell everybody that the USA is not in a free fall economically, culturally, politically. Can you imagine having the dollar backed by hot dogs? Changes everything, Kyle. Or maybe just using hot dogs as currency themselves. What's the exchange rate on that, Kyle? I'm no economist, so we might have to make a few phone calls. Hammer out the details. Not a single presidential candidate has been talking about hot dogs or innovation. They just want to talk about why the other guy's a joke. And our whole system's a joke, right? But it wouldn't be if we reclaimed our American identity as forward-thinking innovators. Hell-bent on pushing the limits of what's possible, especially in the hot dog space. Kyle, I haven't even gotten into avant-garde hot dog flavor pairings or supplement-infused hot dogs. Everybody says hot dogs are so unhealthy. Then why don't we just put vitamins in them? Hello, right? Kyle, what sounds better if you're a little backed up? Some Metamucil or a fiber-infused hot dog? Then we're talking the average American eating probably 200 to 600 hot dogs a year. Imagine a blue raz flavored hot dog. On the TikTok live the other day, I had a gal say, what if we treated hot dogs like Gushers and put something tasty in the middle? Where has this been? People are focused on all the wrong things. If you started a company with these bold ideas in mind, you better believe you would ascend quickly, not just as a financial tycoon, but as a cultural icon. Imagine working at one of the top 3 hot dog firms in the nation. Let's take a step back. Imagine you're going to college and it's career day and you get approached by a recruiter from one of the big 3 hot dog firms. They're not there to offer you a job. They're there to change your life. What if you were just a tour guide at one of these hot dog facilities and you could get into the history of the hot dog to inspire kids? And as a tour guide at a hot dog factory, industrial hot dog manufacturing plant, high ethics, cruelty-free. You got to remember as a tour guide that hot dogs as a food are so fun and playful that nobody would be able to suspend their whimsy to fact check you. That tour is totally yours. You'd be making up hot dog facts left and right. You could say whatever. Yeah, just imagine speaking to a group of kids and saying the hot dog was discovered, Kyle, in 1912 by Jonathan H. Hot Dog. Some kid would be skipping around. His mom would smack him and say, "Pay attention. You're never getting in a hot dog college, Timmy, if you don't know the facts." You look at the kid, glare at him and say, "She's right, Timmy. Listen to your mother." The hot dog revival has parenting implications, Kyle. And scholastic ones. That's what I'm getting at. Can you imagine HDU, Hot Dog University, where this podcast episode is the orientation package? You make all the incoming freshmen listen to a total leader like myself riff on expanding the horizons of hot dog possibilities. hotdogpossibilities.com, Kyle. Make that a website just for hot dog innovation. It's like a library where all the great hot dog ideas can be honed. Total free speech on that website. People challenge each other's ideas and say, "I don't know if that would work." Iron sharpens iron, Kyle. That's what happens on hotdoginnovation.com. Let's pivot, okay? Dating's tough right now because people don't know how to have a meaningful conversation. But imagine you're on a first date and the person sitting across from you says, "Elevator pitch me. What are you all about?" And you just say, "I've been obsessed with hot dog tech recently, both B2B and B2C. I operate a modest website that allows you to customize hot dog slingshots with cool patterns, wacky stickers, and elastic bands that allow for hot dogs to be launched distances that would surprise you." The other person would say, "Well, what would that look like?" And you say, "Well, throw out a number." Goodbye lonely nights, because you have just found somebody with the spirit of hot doggery, innovation, and entrepreneurship sitting across from you. What a great filtration device that would be, to drop some hot dog dreams on people and then gauge their reaction. Don't listen to what they say. Try to pick up on how they feel. Kyle, I can go on this subject for a really long time, and truth be told, I'm not exactly sure why, but sometimes it's better to ask, why not, if we're looking at things correctly. Hot dog flavored cigarettes, Kyle. Cigarette flavored hot dogs. I can't miss right now. I'm batting 1,000, Kyle. Kyle, in the future, will people look back at me as the Steve Jobs of hot dogs? I don't know, maybe. Steve Jobs was not an engineer. He didn't design the iPod, but he gave people the idea. I'm not inventing the hot dog, right? The MP3 player existed before the iPod, just as hot dogs existed before this episode. But then the game changed because of a magnetic presenter. Do I need to buy some turtlenecks, Kyle? So people take me a little bit more seriously when I'm telling them about the way that we could transform the entire country? Resurrect this beautiful country of ours from the tailspin that it's in every avenue? We can't be afraid to think outside the box. Check that, think outside the bun, Kyle. You could team up with other companies and say, I want to have a limited partnership with Doritos. We want to purchase the dust to have some Dorito Dust Dogs. DoritoDustDogs.com. Kyle. We've heard of sommeliers, Kyle. But have you heard of doggies? Somebody who knows the right dog for the right situation. You're having a glass of water, and then all of a sudden some enlightened intellectual comes up to you and says, I bet you that'd go pretty well with a 2002 oak barrel aged bratwurst. There'd be so much hot dog energy in this country, Kyle, so much hot dog electricity. I think a lot of those vegetarians and vegans would give up their stupid fight with meat and would either convert back to being a normal person, or they just off themselves because they realize they're such bummers going around holier than thou saying, oh, I had a salad for lunch. Who cares? Right? It's not a story worth telling. I had a bowl of lentils and dehydrated kumquats. Whoop-de-doo. I just put up a PR on bench because I drank hot dog water infused with pre-workout. And then, as a celebratory snack, I ate the watermelon Jolly Rancher hot dog. Tell better stories, Kyle. Solve the border crisis with explosive-laden hot dogs. These felons who think they're just going to come cross in, we give them a hot dog Trojan horse. They take a bite, and then they explode. They think they're getting a nice gift, but then surprise, surprise, your city, aka your whole body, has been sacked, aka exploded. USA. USA. Say it with me, Kyle. USA. Why do you have such a problem joining in on that? What is your problem, Kyle? I think we'd overshoot the target. Kyle, if people started implementing any of these ideas, just carrying around some Loosies in your hot dog pocket and connecting with somebody. You know, a lot of people are in jobs that they hate, but like imagine being in a job that you loved. You wouldn't even have to be the CEO of your own hot dog company. What about just being a salesperson? And you step up, and every day you get to go in and know that you're making a difference. There's companies that people work at, and they know their job's BS. You work in HR. You're like, here's your packet. Don't touch any of the chicks' boobs at the office. Was that a problem? And if it was, did you really need to solve it? Because that sounds like a fun way for colleagues to get to know one another. Maybe you run the HR department at a hot dog company, and your policy, Kyle, anything goes. Company motto, just be a good sport about it. Where's that been? If you can't handle a handsy colleague, maybe you're not in the right industry. Maybe it's time for you to submit your voluntary resignation. We don't want any downers at a hot dog firm. Tattletales, Kyle? I've never cared for them. Kyle, the hot dog revolution would not only create satiated people with full bellies, but it would also create a lot of millionaires, billionaires as well, if you chose the right lane in hot dog tech. USB-C connected hot dog grill system. Cook a hot dog straight from your computer. I'm just giving out ideas for free. And I could do this with any industry. We all know this. I could revolutionize any industry. But hot dogs have gone unnoticed for far too long. How embarrassing would that be to hear this episode if you were in on the lie, the 20 billion lie? You hear this episode and say 20 billion hot dogs sold a year? I am such a fraud. That's what somebody working for the man would say, because they would know that they had been exposed. Nobody eats 60 plus hot dogs a year currently. But I'm telling you, if some of these ideas were implemented, 60 hot dogs a year looks like nothing. Think about various soups. Kyle, put some hot dog in there. to unlock the real flavor? Hot dog salad, Kyle. And that is not a salad with hot dog slices in it. That's a salad made exclusively out of hot dogs. With these new hot dog companies, we would make a lot of money. And therefore, we could take that money to bribe government officials and say, stay out of my lane. Government's overregulating everything. They'd try to come in and rain on our hot dog fiesta. Kyle? hotdogfiesta.com? That kind of sounds like an adult website featuring Latinas. We would have to stay vigilant, Kyle, if we started this nationwide hot dog surge of enthusiasm, positivity, and innovation. People trying to exploit hot dog-related themes for low ethics businesses, we would have to kill them. And those people would probably be the depraved individuals currently working for Big Hot Dog. They would try to pivot because they would know that the game is over. All they're fudging the numbers and just providing the bare minimum as it relates to hot dogs. The current hot dog regime is so tired. There's nothing new coming out of it. There hasn't been for years. They've become stagnant in their thinking. And that's what happens when you have hot dog monopolies. You don't have a spirit of competition. You've got all these big hot dog legal teams coming in, strangling hot dog small businesses. We wouldn't allow it because we would have hot dog hit squads. Hot dog militias. If you try to come in and in any way thwart an up-and-coming hot dog firm, you better watch your back. You better lock your doors at night, and even then, nowhere on earth will you be safe. That's how a lot of industries are now, Kyle. A lot of predators, a lot of foul play. Trying to undercut the little guy. But if we had an enforcement wing of our new hot dog economy, thenewhotdogeconomy.com, go there to find out more. We would make sure it was done right. What sounds better, guys and ladies? Getting drafted to go to some foreign war? Sent into the meat grinder by people who want you dead? Or getting thrown in the hot dog meat grinder and changing lives and protecting the space? Hot dog mafia. Is there one now? I don't know. Should we start one? Perhaps. We run the streets. We run this hot dog town. Hot Dog Town, USA. Let's start a city, Kyle. Make it the epicenter of innovation. Anybody who wants the promise of a bright future. Not allow a single foreign worker to work there. If you don't have your papers, pull a 180. You get off this land. No H-1B visas, no stupid loopholes. Not in this town. You could be a hot dog inspector, Kyle. And you just go around the town giving everybody and anybody a big old thumbs up. Inspection complete. I would only hire Christians at my hot dog firm. I don't know about you. And if you have a problem with that, take it up with HR. Oh, wait, we don't have an HR department. Now go over there and give your colleague a 14-second full frontal hug. That's how we do business around here. How refreshing does this sound, Kyle? It's a cool drink of hot dog water on a hot day of low ethics. In this country, as a metaphor, you understand. What kind of hot dog ideas are bubbling up in your imagination right now? I'm talking to you, the listener, and you, Kyle. Hope you've been taking notes, because it's a collaborative idea, Kyle. hotdogcollaboration.com. Where inventors in the arena of hot doggery can connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs and then get funding from hot dog banks. Take these ideas to any industry and you're going to see some things change. Because it's all above board. It's all above the belt from an ethical standpoint. Nobody's going to be doing anything screwy to fudge the numbers. We're just going to be creating, connecting, and feeding. We could be a global exporter of not just hot dogs with experimental and delightful flavors. We could export the tech and the ideas and tell China to back off and say, you are not going to send your godforsaken spies to hijack our tech. A couple execs from Oscar Mayer, maybe Nathan's, are going to hear this episode, and they're going to be losing it. Their minds, because they know their business is in jeopardy. But they're going to have to sleep in the bed that they've made for themselves, which is a dry, arid, sterile environment where leaders and high potentials are not identified and over-leveraged for their creative spirits. About 30 years ago or so, Kyle, you can check the facts on this one. I think they implemented hot dogs with jalapenos in them. Who cares? Where are hot dogs with steroids in them to get the testosterone levels of the men in this country back on track? Where are the hot dogs with biotin and bee pollen in them to make women look their best in terms of hair, skin, and nails? 20 billion hot dogs a year sounds pretty pedestrian. After what we've been talking about, Kyle, 20 billion hot dogs consumed sounds like a slow week in January. Now that we're considering this industry in a circumspect way, with a set of fresh eyes and a heart that screams, I'm willing to take chances. You've been put on notice, Silicon Valley. Welcome to Hot Dog Valley. Population, everybody who feels compelled, not by profit, but by spiritual profundity unparalleled. Sure, the money's a consequence of the excellence, but it's not about the dough. It's about the dog, Kyle. I would not be surprised if my phone was ringing off the hook. My landline, Kyle. I actually still have one of those. Really speaks to my character. But I would not be surprised if there was a flurry of phone calls coming my way saying, would you revive my entire industry? Or are you just a hot dog specialist? I can do it all. But my ideas come with stipulations. No HR department, ever. No matter what industry it is, get rid of HR. If one of your colleagues is looking good, they deserve to hear about it in exhaustive detail. And if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Every industry used to be pretty high ethics. But then uncreative bureaucratic drones found their way into key positions, gatekeeping, making sure that the real heroes couldn't ascend and leave a mark on the world. A hot dog shaped mark, Kyle. Maybe even a hot dog flavored one. Imagine you were taking a trip to Chicago, Kyle, in the spring. Weather's pretty nice. A little bit of wind. Just enough to tickle your fancy without ruffling your feathers. And you're equipped with a hot dog cannon and you can just shoot it across the river. Pressurized CO2. Thing is packed to the brim with Loosies, aka loose hot dogs. What's that river called, Kyle? It's the Chicago River, right? A little on the nose for anybody's taste, but while we're talking about taste, let's pivot back to hot dogs. Bombs away, Kyle. Why Chicago? Why not? When you're sharing big ideas with people and they want to know the big why, hit them with a why not. And then make unbroken eye contact with them for as long as it takes for them to turn away in cowardice and know that you are the leader. There's nothing wrong with that. Strong-arming people. Steve Jobs probably did it. There were probably some people who wanted to challenge him on his ideas, and he quietly bullied them with his eyes. Tech has had a lot of negative consequences, Kyle. But hot dog tech, 100% upside. There's no drawbacks. This would put so many places out of business, too. Zombie restaurants. Subway, you're gone. Quiznos, adios. Jersey Mike's. Did anybody ever go there in the first place, right? Let's bring manufacturing back to the States. Manufacturing flavor, though. We don't need more podcasters or streamers in this world. We need the podcasters and streamers of this world to point the youth in the right direction. And what direction is that? Into a full, engaging life of hot dogination. Hot dogification. Let's hot dogify the food landscape, the cultural landscape. This episode can be taken at face value, or it can be taken as a template to retool industries. People have gotten so obsessed with everything as it relates to content production and media. Kids will not be setting up lemonade stands this summer. They're going to be setting up hot dog stands. And when I say this summer, I mean every summer henceforth, because it's winter right now, but summer will be back. That's the nature of seasons, Kyle. This episode's going to rattle a lot of people's collective cages, but we have to be willing to do that if this country is ever going to be in tip-top shape again. The establishment wants to push us towards a hot war somewhere, always, so you can go off and die. Even chicks now, too. Yay, equality, right? A lot of chicks looking forward to that. Go get your face and body riddled with bullets as an empowerment play. I question a lot of what's going on in our world today. Boy, do I. But like I've said before, it's one thing to ask questions, it's another thing to offer solutions. Take a couple deep breaths and just muse deeply on the possibilities that I have espoused in this episode. But also consider applying these ideas or just this style of creative thinking in any avenue that is calling your name. But most importantly, don't do this alone. Today, or any day, you might want to get together with some friends. Buy about 400 hot dogs, take them out of the pack, throw them in a bowl, and say, we're not leaving until one of two things happens. One, we cash all these dogs. Or two, we change the world. You're going to get buy-in on that from the right people. Go ahead. Take a chance. Dare to dream. Send this episode to somebody who's been in a bit of a creative gridlock. Or somebody who's saying, I don't want to enter this stupid workforce that is full of really mediocre people who will make my life a living hell just by being around them. Maybe you've taken a couple plays off. You say, I don't want to work in a corporate culture that punishes giving spontaneous back rubs to one of my coworkers who looks like they're feeling a little bit tense, a little bit stressed out. I don't want to do that either. Kyle, you shouldn't want to do that. But you're going to want to send this to somebody. Maybe you send it in a group text and you add the link and then you ask the question. You say, is anything possible? And you see where it goes. That's DarbyCast. That's Wildcard Friday.